Begin the mission.
Lately, I've been wondering just where exactly are all the Gundam YouTube channels? Gundam content creators do exist on YouTube after all, and this is not to discredit any of them or take a shot at anyone. There are a handful of channels putting in work, the largest of which, as far as I know, is Kakarot197. To clarify, while I'm sure there are some big Japanese channels that focus on Gundam, in this video, I'm referring to the English side of the fandom. Now, right there, someone might want to argue that the reason why there are no large English-speaking YouTube Gundam-focused channels is because Gundam is Japanese first. It's from Japan, and that's where it all began, which is true. But then again, so too are Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z. Hell, there's even a handful of large channels that were focused mainly on Attack on Titan, and Attack on Titan is still fairly new compared to the other franchises I just listed. Which then got me thinking that maybe it's because Gundam fans are on the older side, and so they aren't online as much, or just aren't tech literate enough to know how to make videos and upload them. But Western Dragon Ball and Pokemon fans fall roughly in the same age range, since all three franchises made it to the US and the West around the same time, and a lot of these fans just so happen to like all three. Yet, only Dragon Ball and Pokemon have large channels exceeding several 100,000 subscriber counts, with some even eclipsing 1 million. All three of these are among the top grossing media franchises in the world, with Pokemon easily beating everyone. Not just Dragon Ball and Gundam, but Disney, Marvel, DC, and literally whatever else you can think of by a mile. So it makes sense there would be some fairly large Pokemon channels on YouTube. It also appeals to both genders. Gundam, on the other hand, is unfortunately a bit more of a boys' club, meaning its potential fanbase gets cut in half. There are some women who do like Gundam, of course. More than some, I would say. But the gender gap is still pretty big. Oddly enough, if you were to watch Dragon Ball Z for the first time, you might get the impression that it's even more of a boys' club than Gundam, since notable female characters are few and far between. Outside of Bulma, the next two notable female characters like 18 and Chi-Chi get much less screen time. Gundam for its part has far more female characters, maybe even more compared to Pokemon. Yet, this doesn't seem to matter much since the female characters in Gundam oftentimes tend to not have it so great. It's also obvious a lot of the times that Gundam female characters were written by guys. If it's not that, then maybe it has to do with the story structure. Even though the Pokemon shows and games have different generations, they all are in the same universe and timeline. And at least until more recently, the show has mostly followed the same main characters. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and GT all also exist within the same timeline, minus the old movies that don't exactly make a lot of sense in regards to where they fit in the timeline. Gundam doesn't have this. There's the Universal Century, After Colony, After War, Cosmic Era, AD, and other timelines that are not related or connected. This means that the fandom gets splintered. Just imagine, a new fan just watched Iron-Blooded Orphans for the first time. They want to learn more, so they go online. They find a YouTube channel talking about Gundam, but they're talking about something related to the Universal Century. So now the new fan is either confused or slightly intimidated, or maybe they found a Gunpla channel and still get lost because they don't know anything about some random Gunpla kit of some Gundam or Grunt suit they've never seen or heard of. Then you have fans who like multiple timelines, while others who dislike some to the point that they get triggered and act like Shin from Destiny, all the while hating on Shin. I don't like Shin either, but it's funny how some people act. Having alternate universes makes it a little difficult for content creators as well, since 1. It's harder to be informed on topics to discuss in their videos as some alternate timelines had different rules and also different names and characters. And 2nd, appeal to a majority of Gundam fans. Then again, it could be argued that Pokemon and Dragon Ball fans are also splintered in a way, as some only play the games while others have only watched the shows. I guess it could be that of the three, Gundam has the worst games by comparison. And what could be considered the best Gundam games are only really accessible in Japan by going to a versus arcade game. Then again, Dragon Ball Z also has a mountain of games where a lot can either be considered bad or mediocre. Another potential reason could be the fans themselves. I would argue that most Gundam fans are not toxic, but there are some who suffer from a number of mental conditions, And when two or more of these conditions are combined in a person, you get a mini Shin clone. The first of these conditions is known as main character syndrome. This makes a fan feel like they somehow have the absolute best opinion or viewpoint compared to someone else, in a video or in general, and feel that they could somehow make a better video, even though they don't upload videos or even have a channel of their own. They may even not disagree with the small content creator's video, but they'll still nitpick certain things to either dislike or not bother subscribing. The second condition is being socially awkward. On its own, being socially awkward is fine. It's normal to feel socially awkward, as it just means someone needs practice socializing and getting out of their comfort zone a little. But when combined with main character syndrome, it makes it difficult to communicate and engage in the comments. This could also make someone turn into that annoying edgelord people try to avoid, or the individual in question attempts to hide their awkwardness, or make up for it by trying to come across as being smarter than they actually are. And then there's the third condition that can make someone not want to join a community: gatekeeping. Gatekeepers are the punks who say you're not a fan if you like what they dislike, or dislike what they like. They will try to quiz you on the spot to see if you're a real fan, with some dumb, unimportant questions like, who was the Japanese voice actor for these two characters all the way back in the 1980s? Seriously, dude, I don't even think people who say they're saving themselves for marriage try that hard to hold on to their virginity. They will also make arguments that if you don't like what they like, it's just because you don't understand it, which is just stupid. For example, I've read and understood The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, but I still hated it. So you can understand something and still dislike it. I understand the other team wants to win, but I don't have to like or agree with it. Also, notice how these individuals will never make the same argument for the things that they don't like themselves. And anytime you start making sense, they'll dismiss your comments by saying something like, yeah, I know that, but, and act as if anything you said previously no longer matters. Combine these three conditions in a fan, and you get someone who is just never gonna be happy with any content creator. And newer potential fans won't want to join the community. And it's even worse when it's a content creator who has all these three conditions. But before this video turns mostly negative, let's be real. Every fandom has to deal with these Shin-like weirdos. Pokemon has them, Dragon Ball has them, and yet they still have bigger content creators. Star Wars even has large content creators, and have you seen how divided and splintered that fandom is now? So, it's not that. The last possible reason I have is that Gundam's story is just too big. While there is a plethora amount of content for channels to take from to make videos on, it requires a lot of homework on the part of the viewers to be able to follow along. While visually, the early Dragon Ball and Pokemon episodes do show their age, the early Gundam episodes look even older. And Gundam being such a long and ongoing franchise, newer fans don't trickle in as much compared to other franchises that are easier to get into. While there are more Gundam fans now in the West than there were 20 years ago, it's still a bit of a cult following compared to others, and also comes with a bit of an intimidation factor. Beyond that, I really don't know why there isn't a big 1 million subscriber count channel that mainly focuses on Gundam. If I did know, I'd probably have a bigger channel by now. As for all of you, if there is a content creator you like, please consider subscribing to them. It really helps them out, especially English-speaking Gundam content creators, as it can feel like we're always fighting an uphill battle on an island isolated from other fandoms. That's all I got. Let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts as to why there aren't any larger Gundam-centric channels. Take care, and see you later.